I know.
What is up? How are you doing, Aaron?
Good. I've noticed in the intro video, I forgot that you used to wear a like almost suit and tie or dress shirt and tie. What happened?
I still do. I still do sometimes. Honestly, like the last couple times, there was one day where Desert was just like, I can't wear button-ups anymore and ties, man. And then, so then we didn't. And then we started wearing button-ups again. And then, so now we're back.
All right.
Now, what's up, Crypto King, and what's up, Third Patriot? Good evening, guys. So this episode today is going to be a little bit different. Desert is resting. He's got this back thing going on. I know you all have seen that in some of the live streams. So he's doing that. We've been talking throughout the day. And then I was like, hey, what better day to have Aaron on than the day where the Kumo Droid integration is cooking, right? It's cooking. What's going on there? Tell us a little bit about that. And
yeah, it's looking good.
What you been up to? What's going on?
It's pretty much good to go. We've got our should I give it an overview? Do people know what Kumo Droid is?
No, they do. So let them know. Give us an overview. And right. I need to get Jade on in another interview very soon.
Yeah, that'd be good. Jade's good at these. So we've got a trading bot that's powered by our neural network that uses reinforcement learning to get better over time, TLDR. Doesn't use any sentiment analysis. It's all right now chart data. So we're gonna do more established tokens, a little bit safer, lower risk. We can build on that strategy. There's some long-term planning that I'm hinting at here, where we'll eventually get to sentiment analysis and kind of go out of the box. But the idea here is that we wanted to build a bot that we didn't ever touch your crypto, but it was still not like I didn't want to build a custody solution. So we kind of met in the middle, and we created this bot that works on SEXs, so centralized exchanges. You create an API key where we only have transactional power. We can't withdraw from your account, and you give the bot permission to trade on your account with whatever funds you have on there. The way that you pay for it is you supply right now base USDC to a pool, and it pulls your fees from that pool. So every time you make a trade, it'll check to see if you've got the fees available, and it will execute the trade. You don't have the fees available, it won't do the trade. You don't have any funds in your account, it won't do the trade, right? So you can at any point pull the plug because you can always withdraw your fees. And the way it works is we have 3 risk strategies. So it's very touchless is what I wanted. The alpha wasn't. So for those of you that were in the alpha, it was very, you had to decide every little thing that you wanted to do with the bot. But it's low, medium, and high risk. And every time a trade is executed based on your risk profile, it takes, nice. It takes your strategy, so like your risk profile, and then analyzes the risk for that specific trade and takes an appropriate allocation of your portfolio to do that trade, right? So let's say it's something high risk and you're on a lower risk strategy. It might not do that trade, but two, if it does do that trade, it'll take a lower percentage of your profile or portfolio. So there's a lot that goes into that. It gets better over time. So the more data we feed it, the better it gets. But again, we're not promising anything here. So always do your own research and don't use any money that you wouldn't want to lose, right? So
yeah, Jeff Dukes, he says.
Low and medium, what is that?
Well, so like touching on that, like kind of like one of the things that I've like thought about is for everybody that's out here watching today, and make sure that you've liked, subscribed, and shared the video already. But basically you should have lower expectations at first, because the bot is learning. The more people that are using it, it is learning and getting better. You know, like riding a bicycle, you're not going to be good the first time, but you do it a few more times and you get better. And so like that's the whole game theory here, is that the more people that are using it, the bot gets better. It gets a lot smarter at making these trades. And can't say that there are any particular expected returns. However, if there are any, that would be great.
So we have a spot, right? It's hard coded right now, so they all say 12%, but we have a spot for projected return, like APR, but it's just projections, and it will be based on historical data as we get further and further along. But there's going to obviously be a disclaimer there. There was something else I wanted to mention about it. It's also token gated. So I don't know if we mentioned that.
JPEG bosses, right? Mm-hmm. The last sale of JPEG bosses is going to be at the end of this month. So the mint is going to be paused, right? We have some plans for that, but we're excited about that. So right now is your last chance, really, to one of your last chances, I'll say, to mint a JPEG boss, to actually mint it, or you can pick up some on the secondary. So it's a good time for it. The bot, when do we think that the bot will be fully live so that everybody will be able to start messing with it?
Assuming no bugs, we're testing, but it's literally in its prod environment. There's a couple of small things I need to change, like it's still pointing people to base Sequoia on some of the instances, but that's easy peasy. So this week, I won't give an exact day, but
we'll say Saturday.
No, I won't launch it on the weekend. So I don't want to be the only one on to support it. So
Friday.
Yeah, Friday. So if it breaks, we'll know about it for 2 days over the weekend. So usually when I say this week, it's either a Wednesday or Thursday sort of deal. So
awesome. And I mean, like, yeah, we are right now Tuesday. I don't even know what day it is. To be honest, my day's been crazy, man. My day's been absolutely crazy. Lots of cool things are going on here in Colombia.
You played some poker.
I played some poker today. Dude, I wrecked. I wrecked everybody, and I got first. And I probably got below 5,000 chips like 15 times in that game. And then every time Vulture would say something crazy to me, I would be like, bro, you just need to believe in God, you know? It goes, right? If you trust, if you have faith, then it'll all work out. And then, you know, I would get like a flush with a 3-7. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I know. You won 3 in a row from behind, and right in a row. So like a less than 1% chance of that happening. So I was like, okay, he's gonna win the tournament.
Yeah,
so,
that was what he said. He said that the game was rigged. John was just chosen to win before the game started.
I was laughing. So I was like, if he wins the first one, he'll win the next ones. So. But yeah, that was fun. What else do you have going on? You said you've got a lot going on in Colombia. How are things?
Things are good, and hopefully we got some, like a government deal I'm working on. So we'll see.
That's awesome, man.
We'll see. It's been exciting, and beyond that, hopefully my contract gets renewed, which I believe it will, around the 16th of November, which would be exciting. And I already told my boss, I said, I like this place. It's got a gym. It's got a sauna. It's got a jacuzzi. It's got, you know, a little cafe place on the 3rd floor. This has got to be baked into my next contract or I'm quitting. And laughed. But it was one of those laughs like, dang,
Are you a coffee drinker? Do you do coffee?
Ooh, so much. Actually.
Nice. Like
You're-
like 3
Yeah.
cups a day.
I'm probably at least 3 cups a day. I'm probably like a half pot of coffee a day kind of dude. And like my wife a little bit ago, she was like, which she's here now. Shout out to my wife. I love her. She's my favorite. I would never do her wrong. Okay. I would never do her wrong. She's my favorite.
Does she watch these?
She doesn't. She absolutely doesn't. Every once in a blue moon, she'll chime in and then give me like a little kissy face emoji or say hi or hola in the comments. But it's like never. It never happens.
That's okay. Neither does.
It's kind of on purpose, and maybe it's a good thing, you know?
Yeah.
So I did see Beetlejuice too, though. Did you see that one?
No, I didn't. I've never seen the first one.
That's crazy. You're
Yeah,
not even.
I get the premise, but I've
You
never
look
seen
16, but you're not even 16. You know what I mean?
it.
You would think that somebody much younger would have not seen it. But so the breakdown is that Beetlejuice 2 was very good,
Mm-hmm.
but it's way less smart than Beetlejuice 1. Beetlejuice 1, like 90s humor, late 90s humor, funny, nuanced, a lot of innuendos, a lot of like things that like you watch it the second time, it's even funnier. This one was just kind of like, you know, fart and everybody laughs, kind of funny.
Yeah.
It was like some parts of it were like cutesy, but it wasn't the same. It didn't have as much zing as the first one.
Yeah.
So I would say it's the first one and then go see the second one. Both good.
Yeah,
Oh gosh, we got a celebrity. What's up, Presley? Big love. Shout out to you. Appreciate you. What else have
do
you
you want
been
me to get into like news?
I mean, yeah, we can get into news now if you want to. I didn't have a direction. I was just going to ask if there's anything else going on with you.
I mean, yeah, I've always got stuff going on, but I don't know. I don't like talking about myself that much. I've got a bunch of things in the works, and I'd rather focus on what we're building here. So
That's so funny because I never liked talking about myself until I started doing this for, I guess, like maybe a year and a half now.
Mhm.
Oh, Presley says second one was terrible.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'll skip it. I like
Watch
I
the
like
first.
what's his name? Michael Keaton.
Yes.
So a lot. I mean, it's very hard to dislike him. So, but I probably won't watch it.
What's the first one? I'm telling you.
Yeah, I'll go watch the first one. I watched The Shining for the first time actually over the weekend. So
That was a good one.
yeah.
It was but like it was like I don't know. Here's my question: have you seen Fight Club?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's one that I actually haven't seen, but I always pretend like I have, and I feel
it's
like
good.
I need to go see it.
It's worth it. That one's worth a watch. It's good. So
Yeah.
you should watch it. I like that a lot.
Red Rum.
From nice. Oh, cool. So hey, Ape Chain launched. Did you see that?
No, so I heard about their like that they have basically a pump.fun that you can automatically allocate all ape and mutant holders and all of their like holders like when you launch.
You can give an airdrop.
That was the only thing I Oh, you're muted.
Oh. How?
There you go. Now you're back. You're back.
Okay. You can give ape holders an airdrop of your token when you create it on their like pumped up fun equivalent. That's
Yes.
how it works.
Automatic. Yes, because it's like you can allocate like if you wanted to allocate 10% or something to all of them, the majority of them obviously have some money. So the thought is that they're not likely to dump your token immediately, right? And then also you have distribution. That's the claim.
Okay. I don't have much to say about that. I mean, look, I think every chain needs a pumped up fund equivalent for liquidity purposes, right? Like, for better or worse, if you don't have a meme depot at the moment, like a centralized location on a decent on blockchain, for people to go and meme out, then you lose. Right now, I think every chain needs one. That said, long term, do I think that those are going to be the ultimate solution to DeFi? No, but it's an entryway for liquidity, and the teams running those platforms need to find a way how to make them long term, right? To run an actual business. Pumped up fund won't be around forever, and all the equivalent of that won't be around forever, but I think there'll be better incarnations of it, right? Like more secure, safer. Speaking of pumped up fund, I'm going to segue, sorry, way too fast, but the pumped up fund, let me see if I can find the article, but they're going to launch a token. So, apparently. So I think I may have mentioned this to you, but yeah, here it is. Pumped up fund to launch token in the future. So this is from the block. So pretty good.
I thought they were going to close down. Like I thought that they stopped or whatever for a little bit, and then that they opened back up.
They're making so much money.
Yeah.
So was it you that was telling me that they're selling a lot of their money or their tokens? Did you know this? I was talking to somebody about this. It wasn't you?
No, it wasn't.
So I don't know how true this is, but yeah, so Pumped Up Fund's daily revenue has been at near or above 1 million multiple days this month. So like they're still cruising. It's made 100 million in cumulative fees by the end of August. So it saw another surge after Mudang launched, right? The token, not the actual like birth of Mudang, but yeah. So they are according to they were on an X Space. And they announced that they're planning a future token launch. So there's probably already been a snapshot. That's going to be probably the biggest token launch on Solana ever. And maybe the biggest one ever. So I cannot imagine what that's going to look like.
I hope it's massive. And I hope I get some, because many a time do I see some like crazy person shill some token. And I've got like $10 in Solana. So I'm like, I'll put $1 in Solana in that.
So you're rich, right? You made your millions.
No, usually I watch the dollar go immediately to like 45 cents or 20 cents or zero immediately after. But I'm saying I've got a handful of like, pump.fund rugs. So like maybe I'll get like a token allocation and then be rich because of it.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be, see, if everybody gets airdropped $1 million, we'll all be rich. There's no exit liquidity. So I'll get $1 million, you'll get $1 million, and then nobody will leave. We'll all have $1 million. So obviously where I'm going with this is they'll probably introduce some sort of governance. Scroll's airdrop just launched as well. Look at speaking of governance, and there was a lot of FUD around it. You're familiar with Scroll? EVM compatible layer 2?
So I'm not.
Scroll is big. Scroll's a big chain. Let me look up their niche before.
Because I've heard about it a little bit, but I'm not aware of that. I was actually going to ask your opinions on AVAX here in a minute.
Yeah, we can talk about AVAX right after this. The Scroll's a zero knowledge rollup. So they are one of the bigger layer 2s on Ethereum. How do I word this? You couldn't claim in the US and you couldn't farm their canvas in the US, but they had a badge system where you could go on and you would do things on Scroll, get badges, and then they obviously tracked how much you did on the Scroll and you got marks. And that mark gave you token allocation. Right before this, there was some that the team addressed, but the founder had like 1 million marks and the average person had like 30. But I think the founder isn't getting any of his tokens. I think that's what he said. He addressed it. But yeah, people are displeased. But a really close friend of mine got $100. He doesn't live in the States. And he was like, oh, cool, that's fine. So I was like, that's not bad, right? I don't know why people are expecting these things to make them $1 million. It's a governance token on a chain, right? Like you can farm things all you want. What you should be farming is the platform where you're putting these tokens. Try to get a return on those, right? Like, so find a platform you like. There's a couple of chains right now that have launched. So Phantom and Kaya, which is the Clayton merge. Yeah. Clayton merged with another chain. They have a couple of platforms that have wild APRs right now. And Beats on Phantom and Capybara on Kaya. Not financial advice, DYOR, but that's where a lot of my liquidity is locked up right now. So
that's funny. Were you here when I ate a capybara?
Do you what?
I ate a capybara.
Oh no, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
What does it taste like?
So I don't like it. It's like gamey. It was kind of like, it was rabbit? Like I had a platter of, that's what they say. It tastes like Big Rabbit. But it was kind of gamey, like rabbit. Yeah, probably rabbit's a big like rabbit and chicken, but not quite chicken.
Well, is chewy like rabbit? Rabbit was for me was a little
more like chicken.
Okay,
more like chicken than rabbit.
Yeah, I haven't had rabbit in like years.
Well, I didn't know it was capybara. This guy, I ate this platter of meats, right? And so I'm eating all of the red meats, love it, delicious. And then there was this one that looked like chicken. It was kind of yellow. I was like, okay, whatever. So I eat this. I got like halfway through it. I was like, nah, I don't like that. And he was like, oh, you don't like? Gosh. Now that I'm trying to think about what it was called, it was like Trujillo or like I can't remember. But anyway, so I was like, what is that? And then he was like, hold on, I'll look it up. Pulls out his phone, shows me this picture of a capybara, and I was like, damn. Sent that to kids, and my kids were just like, oh no, they're so cute. Why'd you eat that? Yeah, it was great. But okay. So scroll interesting. I think that a lot of people just hope that airdrops are going to make them rich. And like, I think a lot of times the speculation, it's like the airdrop appears and then people that didn't get the airdrop FOMO into the airdrop while everybody is selling the airdrop.
Yeah.
And then
free market trading is really good typically on these bigger airdrops.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very true. It's very true. But always sell your airdrops, basically 100% of the time, especially if you believe in it, and then buy back cheaper. That's what I said. De-risk.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you want to support the project, you shouldn't sell. But I mean, that's it from a non-financial perspective.
But from the project perspective, don't they also benefit from the volume fees?
If everybody's selling, no.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, I don't think Scroll wants everybody to sell their governance token. The idea there is it's supposed to be decentralized, but there's delegates anyway, right? So most of these have delegates. So Optimism's been good for airdrops. So if you ever do stuff on Optimism, like they had Superfest with Jumper, and that paid very well, and you were putting all of your tokens into things that were generating yield, so it was a win-win. So Optimism crushes it, but it's kind of goes under the radar. It does, and Optimism's huge, but like, I don't know why people don't talk more about that. So, whatever.
Optimism is huge. It's the super chain.
Yeah, and my friend will keep farming that.
Yeah.
So anyway, you wanted to ask me about Avalanche.
Yeah, so about Avalanche is like, I kind of feel like Avalanche is sort of like the Fed coin now, because I realized that I remember reading an article about the like California MBA using a blockchain to like organize some of their stuff. And then I later found out that it was actually Avalanche and that they're using for some of the like databasing and cataloging of like deeds and ownership and different kinds of stuff, like something that they're using in their internal system. Mm-hmm. I personally like Avalanche, but I don't like C chain versus X chain versus P chain, right?
Why do you like Avalanche?
My experience on it early days, like using Trader Joe and different stuff, I felt like pretty fine about it. It was like quick, reliable for the most part, but I don't like having 3 different chains that you have to like move funds between and make sure that you're doing it for the right reasons, right? I think that that's just like stupid from that side. But what I was going to say is Metallicus, right? They secured FedNow transaction certification. So Metallicus or Metal blockchain is actually a subnet or a subchain of Avalanche. So I kind of feel like the big narrative at the beginning was that Avalanche was for institutions. And that's kind of what seems to be playing out, despite the fact that I don't like that you have the 3 different chains that you have to move your own funds between your own wallet amongst in order to do specific things. Right?
Yeah.
I was going to ask, do you like it? Have you built on it? Do you enjoy the experience?
So there was a rep out here, part of AVAX Labs, and I went to a couple crypto events, and we would talk about Avalanche. And so my take on Avalanche is that I don't want to get too in the weeds on this answer, but one of the things is that Avalanche can't scale infinitely. it doesn't scale. There's actually a big scaling issue with Avalanche. I think they may have started to address it, but the idea there was that for something like an Avalanche to work, it just doesn't. So same thing with like an Arbitrum. For Arbitrum to work, the Ethereum Foundation would have to purchase Arbitrum. You can DM me if you want to know more about the scaling side of things for Avalanche, but it uses a similar to a subnet infrastructure, okay? Which means that each subnet, sidechain, whatever, each subnet has to have its own sphere support, right, for it to be viable, which means that you're going to run into the same issues that we're seeing with Ethereum, a little bit different, which we don't have to get into today, but Ethereum will struggle to scale because Ethereum, the more people use it, the price of gas lately has been brutal. So that alone, never mind everything else from a technical standpoint, even skipping over that. I get right now that AVAX gas is not bad. The other thing about AVAX that I've seen that I don't like as much, and I think the team is great. I think the Avalanche AVAX Labs team was awesome. I brought up this stuff like in a very technical setting, and we were talking through it, and they were actually speaking tech talk to me, which was very cool. AVAX hasn't had a lot of successful projects. Even Trader Joe, as you mentioned, I don't know if you know this, but I'm 90% sure they just pivoted their brand. Did you see that?
Really?
Yeah. So, which is like probably the most successful D app. So,
yes, it is
on AVAX, and they did.
Let's fucking Joe. It's called LF Joe.
Yeah. Yes.
LF Joe.
So, which isn't a bad thing, right? Yeah, you like it, see?
Yeah, I like it. I missed this.
Yeah. So there's not a lot of success on AVAX. There was that snail game and the Krabita, and both those are dead, right? And they blew up and they sort of failed. I haven't seen longevity from a consumer side on AVAX other than Trader Joe's. I can't name one other D app on AVAX.
Have you played Shrapnel lately?
No.
Okay.
That's on AVAX, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you know what is on AVAX? Off the Grid. So
yes.
They are crushing it with Off the Grid. So Off the Grid is absolutely a huge win for everything Web3, especially for Avalanche.
That's
so
awesome.
Congrats.
Okay, I need to check out Off the Grid. I remember seeing it really early, and then I was like, eh. And then I remember hearing more about it and it blowing up. I need to go back and look at that again. For sure.
Yeah, it's crushing. I mean, it's got mainstream adoption. So Shroud is streaming it right now, actually. So like people, every Twitch streamer has played it. Tim the Tatman, I think, was playing it. So all of the big Twitch streamers, which is very cool. And that's on AVAX. So I'm going to eat my words there. So I forgot. That's a good one.
Off the Grid. Boom. All right. And then this article about Stripe acquiring a stablecoin startup for a whopping $1.1 billion. It's kind of interesting, but it is just a bridge, basically. So you were saying that that's kind of silly. Why would they just buy a bridge? They could just use the actual tech. I'm sure that there were probably some like certifications or different kinds of legal things that company had that they were like, we could go through them or we could just buy them, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a buy versus build. I think they're going to try to corner the market, right, a little bit by purchasing that, because I think it's a fiat on-ramp, isn't it? So yeah, which is cool. That's good. It's good for Stripe. It's good for us being in Web3, right, and seeing a big company like Stripe valuing a company that does something in pseudo DeFi land, kind of
pseudo DeFi land.
Yeah, so it's cool. Like, I think it's a good thing for us. I remember when the headlines were blank is buying Bitcoin, right? Like, that was a headline. Now we're getting Stripe is acquiring a big crypto company as a headline. So we're so much further along in the Web3 narrative. It's pretty cool.
You don't pay attention to like the macroeconomics, do you?
Not anymore. I don't trade almost at all anymore. I basically
I mean like global, like the economy, like stuff going on there.
Slightly, just so I know when I should move to stables.
Okay. Okay,
So,
that's fair.
yeah.
Well, I was gonna say shout out to Viva LaCoin. He's one of my favorite macro people on Twitter, but just in general in the world that I've met in real life that I like. Viva LaCoin, really smart, always has really great takes on what's happening in the economy, and he's almost always like very right. And it's just
That's
like
awesome.
his time frame is like much longer than most people's time frames. So that's why I think that he does so well in that. But right now, there's an article that says that 473 billion debt increase in just 3 weeks pushes the U.S. national debt to unprecedented levels. And do you feel economic pressure, like of the situation being more unstable? The last article I read was saying that banks right now have 7 times as much unrealized losses as they did in like the deepest part of the pandemic, right?
Yeah, I would say, look, I mean, there's that bank fallacy where like the bank doesn't have enough money to cover how much money is digitally available. That said, the reliance on digital forms of currency these days makes it a little bit easier for me to be less concerned. Like, we don't use paper money.
Yeah, they can just add a 0.
Yeah, or just leverage their. Yeah, look, I'm not that concerned about that. I mean, no matter where you look, you can always find something that's going to point to an implosion of capital somewhere. I think that we might see. I think everybody thinks we're in a bull is coming, or we're in a bull, right? But at least in crypto, I don't know how long or if this even qualifies as a bull market. And I think we're likely to see a really large, what's it called? When it fall back, I'm just like,
Oh yeah, recession.
thank you. Yeah, really large recession. And then I think we're going to hit a bull. So I actually still think we're in a bear market, and I'm going to eat these words. So
you still think that we are going to like, you think that we are going to hit a bull, but that we're not going to be in it yet?
I don't think we're in the bull yet. Yeah. And I'm probably way wrong, but from what I've seen in the news, so I think we're going to go like this, and then it's going to skyrocket upward.
That's interesting.
Bitcoin price is 100% disagreeing with me, obviously, but so always ZYOR, I'm one random idiot on your screen. So.
And you were talking about all the ETH stuff, and then after this, I mean, we can kind of like wrap up because we've talked about the bot, we've talked about some of the things going on in the news, but I wanted to know, when are you changing your .eth?
Why?
Are you going to
get off of ETH? No, ETH is still where everything rolls up to, right? Probably not. That's my hot wallet, so I have my cold wallet.
You're not going to .sui or anything else?
I have a .sui already. I have a .bnb. I have a .scroll. I have almost all of them. Not all of them, but like I have a lot of the major ones. I'll probably be .eth. It's just the chain that we use, right? It also rolls up to even my base name. If you search Aaron Guy@.eth on base, it'll roll to Crypto Kevin on .base.eth. So
and why is that? Where did Kevin come from?
The origin story of that is one of the first projects I worked on. They didn't want to be doxxed, and I was like, I want to be doxxed. I was like, this is stupid. Why don't we want people to know who we are? And so they were like, well, you need to come up with an alias. I was like, just call me Kevin. I was like, whatever. Like, I'll be Kevin. Like, they all had like unique names and like some alias. And I was like, just I'm Kevin. And so it came to Crypto Kevin, and it evolved into Crypto Kevin, and then I just switched the K and the C because I thought that was funny. And so then it just sort of stuck. And I doxed myself on that project like immediately. So it was called Clapes. It's on Clayton, which is now Kaya, actually. But we sold out in like 10 seconds flat, and then delivered a Wolfgame clone on Clayton. So I think it was like the fastest mint on Clayton ever, still to this day. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, woo, go us.
Woo.
So
we need to do that. We need to do that on Sui.
I mean, yeah, Sui. I like Sui. I've been in that ecosystem for a little bit. But yeah, I wonder if Clape's website's still up. Yeah.
If you've been in the Sui ecosystem for a little bit, how do you feel like that there's like culture and community? Because like I keep finding all of the top projects are very much like, and I mean this isn't a negative thing, but they're like very much like mostly Asian, which is
in Sui.
yeah, which I mean like is great, but it's not like the community culture that I can relate to in the same kind of way, if that makes sense. Because I mean, like I've tried to go into some different ecosystems in there, some of the different top NFT projects, and like have conversations, and they're either very like heavy dev or like very degenerate, but not like in the same way. Like they're not in the same like Twitter spheres as I am. I don't know.
Yeah, I think. So speaking on Clayton was a Korean blockchain, right? And so even on the Clayps website, I'm on there now. We supported Korean and English, so you could toggle. It's just the target market. So okay. I think that Sui will move out of that market or expand their market, but they need something to hit the way that like off the grid hit for Avalanche or pumped out fun hit for Solana. So they just need a big thing to hit for them. And I think they're on the cusp of that. So
do you think that I guess like strategically, this is just a question I'm thinking about right now. Do you think that, well, your dog wants attention, but do you think that there is, do you think like a free mint over there with like some royalties would be like a good way to bring like a whole wide group of, I guess, kind of like select, not necessarily KOLs, but like culturally relevant community people to create a community over there?
So what do you mean? Like you're saying like you do a free mint? Yeah, get in the details. Like, so you want other communities to dive in?
So like my thought was just like I can think of probably like 50, 60 people across a bunch of different blockchains that I like a lot, that I think are cool. Those would be kind of the cultural aspects and people that I would probably want in a community over on Sui. I think that they would succeed really well. I think they would support each other really well. And then so like in my mind, I was like, well, if you did a free mint, right, and then you had like a royalty, kind of like the paper hand tax that they have with Omen, you could cultivate a pretty good community of people that are likely to mint many. And then if any are sold, right, that's revenue then for the project. But essentially the value then becomes like the social group, kind of like in the same way that the Bored Apes, right? They were very cheap at first, you know, but then you had enough of these really interesting connected people that's where the actual net worth and value of being in that network came from, right? So you can make that kind of group on Sui because there's still like disbursement of actual winners. Like there's not like a clear cabal, you know what I mean? So I'm not saying make the cabal quite, but I think you could get quite a few people from the Cardano ecosystem, Solana ecosystem, ETH, you know, Bitcoin, and you could probably have a pretty solid crew over there. You know?
How do you do something different, right? I don't think you can replicate what was done with Bored Ape. What could you do that's different?
Yeah. I just think that currently there's not that group yet.
There might not be, but we also might not know, and that might be a part of the cabal. The dogs are going to keep barking. So we just might not know, right?
Yeah. So because we're not over there deep enough, I guess.
So it's time to launch a project. Make the cabal, our own cabal.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. We make the cabal over there. I mean, I just want to get into that ecosystem anyways. So, I mean, I think you could potentially also do it with like airdrop to a bunch of cross-chain communities as well.
Yeah, you can do that. That's seen some success. What about like, so a lot of projects jump from chain to chain, right? Like we've seen that. What's the story on projects that have jumped from chains? Does that work? So like if they make you migrate the NFT over. So a lot of Solana projects did it. I know Ape Society did it on Cardano. So unbiased, like if we look at these, so try no bias involved. Does that actually work? Like bridging your community completely, right? So not having it live on both chains, like Cyberkongs lives on Ronin and ETH, right? So you can be on either or, you can bridge between the two. But these projects completely go to the other chain. Is that something?
I think it doesn't work. I don't think that it works when you completely go over, because you're never going to get everybody to do it, right? Unless you completely like stop support for the ones that you left behind, in which case you are essentially like whittling down your, you're making your community more scarce, which is kind of interesting.
You're deprecating support essentially.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I do that.
Yeah, I think supporting multiple chains within a project is fine. I think going omni-chain is obviously ideal if every project can support as many chains as they can, but that's difficult, right? Like from a technical perspective, it's not easy to add support for non-EVM chains if you're EVM, and then like even going into EVM when you're not EVM based, having to use multiple wallets, it's tough.
I guess I had a really good interview with Squeak. The guy's name is Dave, so it's definitely maybe one to check out. He's really interesting. So he's a like processes engineer for like semiconductors in, I think, Germany, right, or Europe, right? I'm gonna say Europe, right, because I'm gonna be right if I say Europe. I might be wrong if I say Germany. But very smart dude, and he was talking about, because of Ape Society, that's where my diversification started. And I agree. My ape is on base. I did bridge over because somebody made a really good point. They were like, if the project is moving across to somewhere else, then the only responsibility they have to make you hold or bring any value is where they went. Right? You know what I'm saying?
Have they done anything on base that's made it worth you bridging it over?
I can't say that they have yet, but I know that they have a lot of announcements and a lot of things that they're working on and building over there.
Okay.
I think the volume has probably picked up a little bit on Magic Eden, but I don't think it's that crazy yet still.
Is the floor price below USD equivalent that what it was on Cardano?
Well, that's a good question. I am kind of curious to know that. But what I was going to get to is, in the conversation with Dave, he mentioned that for his project, part of the way that he wants to do it is kind of like not exactly a 404, but have like a liquidity pool for NFTs. So like he has an NFT collection, and then there's like a token associated. So you can always trade back and forth, right? Mm-hmm. And there will be different incentive models and structures. And because of how the project is set up, you're collecting fees, the businesses, on like all of the sides. And then if you're able to provide value, right, and you create these incentives for arbitrage, it's like an opportunity for everybody that is involved in the project, right, to succeed. So from my standpoint, thinking about if you were to make a project that was multi-chain, if you were to have that kind of like a liquidity pairing, to where like if you wanted to go from one end to one end, that there was like a token that you could swap in and out of an NFT type deal, then you could kind of have that sort of like seamless liquidity to a certain extent from chain to chain, right? The value from one could transfer to another in a sense, right? Like you could convert across.
Okay.
I don't know what your whole actual project would be, but you could contain that community and allow them to move back and forth, maybe provide different value on different chains depending on what you were actually providing.
Yeah.
Or combine projects.
Flipping between liquidity would only work if there's a reason to, and there's no reason to. So like the way that something like that could work is all of the NFTs could be equal to X amount of token, right? Yeah. Or they're based on rarity. And you could swap back to the token, but but then yours would go into the pool, meaning you could either have it as a stake or you could have it be accessible by anybody else in that pool, right? And then they could swap from tokens to the one that you put in there, but your tokens could always go back and forth. So the only way that works is if there's an increase on one side. So the NFT price goes up, that means the token value goes up, but then there's still no real reason to swap between the two. You need to create some artificial reason to do so. I don't know. That's interesting, but it isn't. It's similar to 404, but it isn't 404. I think that might just be better with 404 approach where you're fractionalizing the NFTs and letting people buy fractions of them. Art blocks or live art is doing something called art blocks, which they have fractionalized art on chain and they gamified it. It's worth checking out. It's kind of similar, but it's more or less a collector's game. So,
okay, so I checked into it. The answer is that the floor price on base is $390.70. And the floor price on Cardano is $401.
Okay. What about when they were like $600, if I remember correctly, before they made the announcement?
They were like $900.
Okay. So yeah, they cut. Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah. So cross-chain might not work for floor price, but we'll see what they build. Who knows? So.
Yeah. And I will say that one of the things that I did like a madman is so they stopped supporting their passports and their cabins. And people spent like tens of thousands of ADA, multiple thousands of dollars at different point in the cycle to buy these cabins, these passports, these different things. And so they were all at like 25 ADA. But they said that if you were to bridge them over, they would trade them for sapphires on some token, basically, on base. So I scooped up a bunch of it and I did it because I was like, the fact that these things were so expensive before and like they have to try to like make those people somewhat whole or provide some kind of value, buying them at rock bottom only gives them the opportunity to try, right? But even if they don't like achieve that, you know?
Yeah, you've got magic internet beans.
Yeah.
So you've got sapphires, dude. Let's go.
You know what's funny? Actually, we're gonna I'm gonna play this because you haven't seen this. I'm sure you haven't seen this, but this was made by the one and only the Machinist, and we played this a while back when they announced that they were bridging. But I think you might like it.
Nice.
Anyway, it was funny.
That's
and
pretty funny.
The most updated one has like a screaming person at the end.
That's good. I like that.
But I mean, yeah, I think that they have a lot of opportunity over there, and they do have a lot of devs and builders over there that are doing some interesting things. I will say, I think it was the Brimley compound is one of the like families. Their thing that they were building was like a super like sports betting type platform where they basically allow you to do all this different sports betting stuff, but then they have really good calls and different stuff. Like one of the guys that is involved had like made a career out of sports betting, made a bunch of good money. So he wanted to build a platform, something around that. So,
oh, cool.
I think that I could see it. There being some pretty interesting innovations that actually come from the different families or like households.
Yeah, that could be cool.
Maybe even more so than actually like the whole, right?
Maybe they'll actually send their team to an event and dox themselves.
I doubt that.
Yeah, then I'll never own one. So
yeah.
I don't like undox things. But anyway, the only other thing I had that we didn't talk about, there was two things. One I didn't bring up to you beforehand, Librland. Go do homework on Librland. I don't want to talk about it. I think I've got the hard stop in 10 minutes, and that would be like a 20-minute conversation. So just go look up Libraland. So it's worth a read if you have some time. But I want to talk about Farcaster. And I know you wanted to wrap it up, but I would love to chat with you and get your opinion on Farcaster before I give you the numbers that I have here. So you're a Farcaster user. You have, and I quote, 300 followers on Farcaster. So it's not nothing. So,
hey, but
it's way more than I have.
Maybe 4.
Yeah, it's a lot, man. So that's not bad. So do you like Farcaster? Do you think Farcaster is going to be successful? Why?
No.
Why don't you like Farcaster?
I don't like Farcaster because it doesn't feel like the same type of engagement as like what my experience is on Twitter. And I think that that's kind of like maybe like I hate Facebook, right? I hate the forum of watching people like just like bitch about mundane, stupid parts of their life, and then like everybody having to be a part of it, whether they want to or not. It's like unconsensually being a part of people's like internal trauma that they shouldn't be sharing on the internet. But like it's actually a neighborhood dispute. You know what I mean? That's what I don't like about Facebook. Whereas Twitter, it's like back and forth, and you can be a part of things or you don't. And like, even if you don't care about the thing, you see it and it doesn't like affect your experience. And I feel like Farcaster, you have to like put yourself into wanting to pay attention to something. And then it's like, am I going to log in to try to pay attention to specific individuals and what they care about, what they have to say? Absolutely not.
Yeah, I just, the thing that I think is if the product, especially for like a social platform, like social media, if a product doesn't differentiate enough or doesn't provide enough unique value, the cost of switching on social media is very high, right? Getting new followers, building up a network, finding things you like, getting the algorithm refined to you. It's very hard to do that. That's why like there was Torum came before this. It was one of the first decentralized social media platforms. It's old now. But there's been others. Farcaster obviously trying to build with the Web3 narrative in mind was all right. It was a good approach. But if they can't appeal to the Web2 audience, then it almost doesn't matter. So, and I don't think they do. So here's the numbers on Farcaster. So in July 1st of this year, Farcaster hit, this is from Captain Zwingli on Twitter. So at Chris Jordan. So good, worth a follow. Not my content, so always want to shout out where I get this content. Farcaster hit $2 million in revenue in July 1st, okay, of this year. They raised $180 million in total, and they raised $150 million with $1 billion valuation in May of this year. So then, obviously, right after that, like what, 2 months later, they hit $2 million in cumulative revenue. 4 months later, the cumulative revenue is only $2.34 million. So since then, they've only made $340,000. So if you look at it, it's a chart that goes like this and then completely levels out. So discussing this, there's a problem there. In this month alone, according to Chris here, Farcaster's exceeded $1,000 in revenue only 4 times. That's insane.
In a month.
In this month alone, so daily revenue only beat $1,000 4 times. That's wild for a company that was valued at $1 billion this same year. So a little bit absurd. What's up?
They've round tripped the whole company.
So it's already like basically zero. The revenue was showing growth. Like if you keep it, like as I mentioned, revenue was showing growth, but it's just stagnated very hard. And actually, yeah, if you look at some of these comments, which I didn't look at prior to this, in my opinion, if it's not layered on top of X and rather another app, needs to be very different from those embedded bases. I agree with that. Decentralized social has a place, in my opinion, but I think Twitter is just going to capture that audience and do something decentralized. But what do you think?
I agree. I think that Twitter's just going to decentralize it because why wouldn't they?
You know, they don't control the economy as much, right? They have people are paying $16 a month to get a check mark.
Yeah, but they can. I feel like they can create systems inside it where the like fee structure still goes to them, and like other people can benefit from it as well. I think that it makes sense. The more people that are able to monetize and make money from using a network, more people will do so, and the network becomes more valuable, and the network itself makes more money, right? So, I mean, that's kind of like how I think about a lot of the Web3 business plans or ideas that I have. It's like, make an opportunity for a lot of people to make money, use their greed like to grow the network, but the actual like network itself holds the value because these people are using it, right? And so then everybody eats, without stealing or rugging anybody's.
Yeah.
Long game as opposed to the short game. And that's where I think that Farcaster kind of failed in a sense. It's that on Farcaster, you see some of your friends and you see some things that people post. But for the most part, like even the idea of casting, like you're just sending your thought out in there and then like hoping that somebody reciprocates it. It's kind of like how the feeling is. It's like, maybe if Aaron was on Farcaster ever, he would catch my cast.
Even if I was on Twitter ever.
Yeah. Well, no, you're always on
there first.
Retweet stuff that you delete later. So
yeah, that's my bot. So I have a bot that does Galaxy quests. So, or I don't have that.
Yeah, that's a good one. See, you should share, man. I can just copy pasta it, right?
But anyway, I've got a hard stop. I've got to go.
I'm out. We're out. We're out of here. It's fun. We'll see you later. Have fun. We'll see you. Peace, everybody. We love you. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow, and mint a boss before you can. So get on it. Peace.